Hello everybody and welcome to today's show of Banter Blitz. Excited to be here. I thought I'd do a show on the weekend so the good hard-working people who never get a chance to play me during the week can tune in. Getting some worrisome messages here from CPO above 90%, so let me know if stuff more or less works. I hope it does. Let's see what we're gonna do today. First of all, the usual stuff. I'm gonna crush you all, challenge me to a 3-minute game or a 5-minute game, and we're gonna play and talk about it, or I'll talk. You can then complain in the chat. That's pretty much the format. Else, what's been going on? I went to the movies last night. I watched The Revenant, and I had very high expectations for that one. It has Leonardo DiCaprio, whom I like, Tom Hardy, who I think is a great actor as well, and it's done by this guy Iñárritu, who did Birdman, the movie that won the Oscars last year, which I thought was a great movie. Very disappointed by The Revenant. I don't know what's wrong with it, but I don't want to spoil too much. It's based on sort of a true story of a guy who gets hurt very, very badly in 1823 by a grizzly bear and then crawls and sort of makes his way through bitter wilderness to get his revenge. And that dude, of course, is played by DiCaprio. I didn't like it. It felt too long, 2.5 hours. Everything's miserable. There's never anything good happening to him. And there's really no story. It's like beautiful cinematography. And yes, some very nice nature shots, but it's just, I don't know. It felt way too much like Oscar bait. He can't even speak. Mainly it's just him enduring more and more miserable things, and I kept checking the clock like, we all know what's going to happen in this movie. The story isn't very complicated. Does it have to take another 2 hours? I didn't like it. Speaking of taking another 2 hours, let's get this show rolling. Let's see if it works. Let me check in with the chat. Normally I forget to switch on the sound, or we have some echo or lag or something's going on. Nah, looks like chat works. People do like Tom Hardy, me too. I love Warriors. Not a very popular movie, I'm not sure if you guys have seen it. But yeah, I like everything Tom Hardy's done. I love Mad Max too. I hope Mad Max wins the Oscars. I don't think it will. I guess Spotlight is gonna win. That would be fun to have a movie like Mad Max win that one. So, what was I trying to do? Oh yeah, I was trying to start a Blitz game. Let's see if we have any challenges. As usual, I play pretty much whomever I want. I will give slight preference to people I haven't played yet, but I will choose very much randomly. And it looks like, no, we got a little issue. I'm playing, but the board is not there, but I can fix that with all my tech savvy. It's gonna take, like maybe, how long is it gonna take? 8 seconds? Let's see how tech savvy I really am. Problem is my clock is running, so this is a huge advantage for Homer P, who I am playing. And yeah, I know there's no board, I'll get to it in a second. See, there's the board. Not supposed to be here. Oh man, I should really prepare for these shows once in my life. But, not gonna be able to do it. This is internet television at its best. Homer P is complaining, is it a bug? It's not really a bug, it's more stupidity on the part of the showrunner. Might be a bug, I'm not sure why the board isn't there. But we sort of have it now. Let me adjust it. And I gave Homer P a full minute. It took me more than a couple seconds I was hoping it would take. But now we're good to go. Time odds, 148. Spend 1 minute 11 seconds on the move to d4. Little too much. He plays whatever this stuff is called. The old Indian e4 is slightly better for white. I've always had a soft spot for this setup with Bishop g5, Queen c2, which I don't think is anything special, but it's something I like. I learned it, I think, from some very old books, some very old Kasparov game I was studying. And Homer P seems to be very motivated to delay short castle, so I can't checkmate him there, which is unfair. But I'll try to do something else. My phone is making noises in the background. I'm not sure how much more time I can lose. My phone has developed this new, very annoying quality that it starts whatever podcast I'm listening to by itself. I don't know how it does it, but it really bothers me. I have to switch it off. It really annoys me. Why does it do that? Here we are, really running low on time. I hope I'm gonna be able to do it. I'm a pawn up here. Blundered or sacrificed, I'm not sure which one, but I'm leaning on the side of blundered, the h7 pawn, so the position should be good for me. But as I said, time is always a factor, especially in blitz. Planning to go queen takes g6. The problem is this bishop is always a very good defender. Queen e6 might be a good move. Let's see. Bishop on g7 sort of keeps the position together, and I blitzed out knight g5, but I didn't really think it through after queen takes f6. He takes here, which looks dangerous, because now I have this textbook threat. Oh, that's sweet. This is a motive you might want to remember. This rook h8 check is always a very useful resource in these positions. And Homer P resigns. Sorry for the rough start, but I think we're all set now. Let me check the chat. Anyone else with very choppy video, or is it just me? Yeah, let me know. I'm getting some strange messages here. CPU above, whatever, 80%, which normally is assigned to very little bit. If it's too bad, I'm going to restart. But for now, I'm going to keep rolling and hope for the best. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't have that much stuff open, do I? We shall find out. So yeah, where was I? Oh yeah, I cut out this board. I was bitching about the Revenant. It's not technically a bad movie. Like, it's great acting by DiCaprio and Tom Hardy. I really enjoyed Tom Hardy's character. But it just doesn't have enough of a story, and it's too grim. Like, this character is called, what's his name? Hugh Glass. And I think it's kind of based on a true story, but they made up a lot of stuff around it to make it into a movie, because there really isn't much story except for an incredible feat of being a survivor. And yeah, it didn't do it for me. It did do it for me that I won this first game, and I'll move on to the next one though. Let's play against Tommaso Tordi. Tommaso Tordi from Italy. This all still looks a little messed up. I have some New Year's resolutions, which I told you about to, yeah, slightly improve the design of this stuff. Like today it's a mess because I cut it out here in a hurry. But to make things a little better looking, now I understand what's going on. I don't actually, but yeah, now stuff is back. Yeah, add some colors to this. I think there's a little too much white on the screen, so I'm talking to the tech and design people who are smarter than me at this stuff. And probably we're gonna have a new fancy layout soon. I also have the resolution to wear less neckties. I feel I've been overdoing the necktie thing a little bit, but I still enjoy them for the bigger events, the live commentary and so on, and I'll certainly bring them out once in a while. Against Tommaso, we're playing, what's this called? A Scotch Gambit? I never know what's called, but I know what I'm doing. After c3, d takes c is very risky because of bishop f7, but knight f6 transposes to this line, which is supposed to be pretty harmless from the black point of view. After bishop d2, the safest is what I'm playing here, takes on d5, giving white an isolated pawn. And the problem from a practical perspective is that here, arguably best play for both sides is queen b3, knight a5, queen a4 check, knight c6, queen b3, knight a5, which doesn't happen here, so I don't have to deviate. After queen b3, I would have played knight ce7, but then white has some chances to put up some pressure. So instead, Tommaso went for natural development, but now I should be reasonably comfortable. I could go bishop g4, which looks nice. I'm also tempted by this move, attacking the d4 pawn and planning to take on c4, depending on which one he allows me to do. We shall find out. He goes bishop d3, and I can't see anything wrong with grabbing a pawn. And I might have mentioned this in a previous show, but a pawn is a pawn, and normally it's a good idea to take them. Bishop h7 does not win the queen because his knight is on d2. So things are looking all right. Knight f3. Could get very greedy here and grab another pawn, which is a little risky. Bishop h7 has to be taken into account. King h7, knight g5. Doesn't look like it works though, so I will do some excessive greed and go queen b2. Queen f6 or queen f4 was a more I'm not sure if more reasonable, but less greedy way to play. But I thought we might get some action here after bishop h7, king h7, knight g5, king g8, queen h5, and then bishop f5. Instead he starts with knight g5, also fairly reasonable. I'm slightly worried here, but I don't see a way to get checkmated after h6, so not that worried yet. Bishop h7, king h8, and if knight f7, I can take either h7 or f7. Queen h5 looks like a logical move when I should not take on g5 because I get checkmated, but should do anything else really. We'll think once we get there. Still, yeah, it is a little scary. And that's the price you get for reckless pawn grabbing. Play queen h5. Problem is I would like to play queen f6 to get at least one piece back into defense, but then knight h7 bothers me. So how far can I push my luck here? Let's keep pushing it. I need some defenders. Knight d7. I wouldn't be too surprised if white had some tactical blow here, but since I can't see it, I will just continue being blissfully ignorant and hoping for the best. Obviously my idea is to go knight f6 and then take the knight on g5 once this h7 square is covered. I'm worried about all kinds of things, bishop h7, king h8, knight f7, but I can't see any cruel finishing moves. Bishop h7, king h8, knight f7, king h7, knight g5, then king g8, and it looks like there is no follow-up. We'll see. Tommaso spending a lot of time here, also looking for tricks. I can't figure them out. Sometimes queen f7 works in such positions, but not on this one. Rook e8. Rook e8 could be an interesting try. But knight e4 doesn't look like that's where the money's at. I'll try to exchange this knight. I am 2 pawns up after all. And if I can eliminate potential attackers, that should be good news. Queen f3 is a good move. Now if knight takes e4, queen takes e4, he keeps some initiative going. But I believe I should be able to defend here. Objectively, he still has some compensation. Rook b1, bishop c4. But there is also the good old plan B, the fact that he has 2 seconds left, which might decide the outcome here. And Tommaso Tordi lost on time. Sorry, Tommaso. Trying to check in with the chat once in a while. No, it's a shirt from the days when I was still what's the word? Hip-hop kid? I don't think that's the term. But yeah, it's an Echo shirt. It has all kinds of colorful motifs on it. But I need some new t-shirts. Like, I've been buying a lot of fancy stuff. Like, I have tons of suits and shirts and ties now, but I don't have casual clothes anymore. So it's hard to find the right wardrobe balance. Talk about first world problems. This dude in the Revenant, he couldn't even think of clothes. He was, I don't know. He didn't seem to lose a lot of weight on his journey, and all I could see him eat was 1 bison liver and 1 raw fish in it was a couple months. So it was a very confusing movie. Let's find a very confusing opponent. Let's play against Daya. Here's Daya from Germany, goes for 1 c4. And I shall go for the humble move e6. I believe e5 is a critical way to play. But I've been working on this d4 repertoire series for black, and in order to fit everything without having to learn too much, I like to transpose to sort of Catalanish positions after c4, and the way to do that is to go 1 e6, then d5, knight f6, and play this kind of stuff. Now d4 is a direct transposition to the Catalan. White can go knight f3, which has his own body of theory. D takes c4 is one of the main moves here. But I like playing simple chess, go bishop e7 castles, and white can still either transpose to the Catalan mainline, where I'm very booked up after doing my series, or he can go for a move like b3 here, which I don't think is that dangerous, and black plays c5, knight c6, and I consider that to be very close to equality, if not equal. And he goes d4. We are in Catalan mainline territory after d takes c4. Main move here is queen c2, knight e5, also very interesting option. Let's see what Daya comes up with. I've watched The Martian, looks like people are very excited about The Martian in chat. Yeah, The Martian was alright, like I wasn't blown away. It's, yeah, I've mentioned this on a previous show, it's mainly competence porn, or look at Matt Damon and all the clever stuff he can do on Mars to survive. It's a less grim survival story than The Revenant for sure. And yeah, I was entertained for however long it took, 2 hours, so didn't mind The Martian, but I didn't think it was like fantastic. It's pretty obvious what's gonna happen in that movie too. I always like a little bit of a twist or a suspense. I understand not every movie can be about that. But yeah, I thought The Martian was alright, but good, not great. Here we're still continuing our Catalan theory discussion. A4 is the trendiest move nowadays. Bishop d7, bishop c6, the main reply. Now white chooses between bishop f4 and bishop g5. For details, watch my series on the Catalan. Also check out the new series which we just published on the Vienna, I believe I call it. No, I believe that is what it's called. It's the follow-up to the Catalan. In that one we deal with the move knight c3, and I recommend d takes c4, the Vienna. I'm quite happy with it. There's one video that's not uploaded yet. There was some technical problem. It's the introduction where I explain why I chose the Vienna and the alternatives and so on. We're gonna add that on Monday once we figure out what's going on. Daya is very booked up here, knows everything. But yeah, I'll live. Queen c1 is the move introduced by Anish Giri against Vladimir Kramnik. That game didn't go so well for him. Was it that? Yeah, I think so. And as usual, I have terrible memory. I believe I recommended this in my video series. A5, knight a6. Boris Avruch gave it in his book on the Catalan. And yeah, I was trying to improve on his stuff or give my opinion on it. Can't remember a single thing. What I do remember is that black is fine. But it's a playable position. A5 and knight a6, of course, the usual plan to put this knight on an active square on b4 and also avoid getting squeezed on the queen side with a5. Rook d1 I'm not sure about. I think, yeah, the main moves are moves that either try to exchange bishops like knight e5 or bishop g5 intending to prepare e4. Rook d1 can't be bad, but it looks like it's a little bit loss of time. Knight b5, this might still be some stuff that Avruch was recommending. Maybe Daya is reading his Avruch book there on the side. I don't mind. But yeah, Daya very, very booked up here. And I wish I could remember my stuff. I don't think I gave this operation, but it looks sort of sensible to me. Get rid of some pieces and then follow up with c6. I'm not sure that's what I gave in my series, but that's why you have to watch it, because I can't even remember myself, so you're not gonna get any good opening advice in these Banter Blitzes, even though I try to say something sensible once in a while. So yeah, typical Catalan structure. I believe it should be about equal. Knight b5 lost a little bit of time, but it provoked me into exchanging all my bishops. And yeah, I don't know who's better and why. I'll go queen b6, put a rook on d8. If he goes e4, that should weaken the d4 spot a little bit. Well, if he goes e3, it's going to be hard for white to come up with an active plan. Then I'll go rook d8, rook d7, another rook to d8, maybe one day c5 or knight d5. Equal position. I haven't seen Pawn Sacrifice. There's some talk in the chat about the Fisher movie Pawn Sacrifice. Most people who've seen it say, yeah, it's not terrible, but it's not must-watch for chess players. Like, I've seen these Fisher documentaries and so on, and of course read a lot about the guy. So yeah, I didn't really feel the need to watch it. I was listening to one podcast. I listened to lots of podcasts, but one where Toby Maguire was promoting it, and it didn't sound like I was missing all that much. Queen e5, what is he up to? I don't know. I'll continue with the plan I mentioned earlier. Just put all my rooks on the d file and see what happens. Queen c5 wants to exchange queens, but that leaves a long-term weakness potentially on c5. So I believe I should go along with this, because now, after, let's say, all the rooks disappear, knight a6 followed by knight c5 will very often pick up this pawn. And yeah, I believe black is better now. as usual, very exciting stuff, but such is life in chess sometimes. Grab a pawn and then remember that a pawn is a pawn and try to convert it. Could have gone knight d7 maybe. That was more precise than knight a6 because his knight on b4 was kind of nice already. But knight a6 is a pretty decent move as well. Daya took a lot of time to play this game, which was well played, but now throws in the towel already. Being asked if I play PC games. No, all I play is Plants vs. Zombies and 2048. I'm very addicted to those for many years. But no, I don't play any other computer games, just that crap on my phone. I think I promised on Twitter that I would do one blindfold game in this show. So if I can remember how to do it, I'll do that now. The problem with blindfold games is, first of all, I have to concentrate not to blunder all my pieces. And secondly, it's a bit hard to watch because you guys won't be able to see the pieces. So treat it as a training exercise. Try to keep in mind where all the pieces are. And try to follow the game. And after that, we're gonna look at it. I'm clicking through the settings here, trying to find a way to hide the pieces. Here we are. So now we got an empty board against Pooks. I'll click on the squares where I'm gonna put my pieces. And he's gonna reply, and I have to pay close attention because else if I miss one move, I'm gonna lose track of the position. For now we have the Slav defense, one of the main openings out there, and I'll play the main line for knight f3. Pook's also booked up, goes d takes c4. I'll continue going for the main line with a4, bishop f5, and how complicated do I want this thing to get? I don't know, but I'll go for a sharp line with knight e5, preparing f3 and e4. And another theory battle. Everybody's so booked up now. Knight bd7 and queen c7 is the main line here. Do I want this to happen? It's a blindfold game. I don't want him to blitz out like 100 moves, but I ended up here. Might as well go along. d e5, knight e5, bishop f4. All of this heavy theory, and he's blitzing out the moves. Clearly familiar with it. Bishop g2. Now there's long castles, or g5, f6 also possible. f6 I don't have great recollection of, to be honest with you. But I'll castle. Can't be too wrong to castle. Now he goes g5. What is this stuff? Not sure I remember any details about this line. Looks like Pooks is better prepared than me. But what to do? Gotta continue the game. I'll take on e5. Maybe knight takes e5 is a bad move. I'm honestly not sure. Knight takes e5, I'll take again. He's gonna take with a queen, and I'll go a5. That's a typical technique for these positions, threatening a6 to soften up his long diagonal. And yeah, not obvious to me. I think a6 would be a normal move here. Black can't castle queenside just yet because I'm controlling that d-file. He's blocking it by bishop d6, but that allows me to go a6, which should cause some upheaval. I don't know what that word means, but it sounds good. In the black ranks. And yeah, I believe he's in trouble now. Goes queen back to e7. I have a very pleasant choice between a takes b7, which I'm gonna do, and other moves. But a takes b7 looks pretty good. Rook b8. Now I can take this dude if I kept track of the position half correctly. King f7. And many good options. I don't know what the fastest way is. I'll take here. Pawn is a pawn. Rook d8, fair enough. Let's give another check. Never hurts to give a check, unless it's bad. King f8, and I will pronounce his potential problems on the back rank by going rook a8. Yeah, the position is winning, but of course I do have to remember where all the pieces are. Bishop d7. Everything's good. What's the fastest? I'll just take. Queen takes, and let's bring the other rook Not sure that was the smoothest punishment available. Probably wasn't actually. But I'm still winning, so I shouldn't despair too much. King g6, what is he doing? Oh, he's trying to get his king out of the line of fire. I need to find a way to finish this game. Don't see one. I'll centralize. Yeah, black is lost, of course. It's really about finding the way to end this. Exchange queens. Promise rook b8, bishop b8. Still not game over. Yeah, I've been messing around. Silly me. I might have to re-win this game. Or is there something direct? No, I don't think there is. Playing terribly. Man. The problem is now I'm losing my b7 pawn. I'm still winning, fortunately, but that really was uncalled for. The good news is I still know more or less where all the pieces are, but I'm not very proud of my handling of the position. We have an endgame now where, if I counter correctly, I'm 2 pawns up. I'm not very good at counting, so I am still very much winning. But that game should have ended a long time ago. That's a check. The bishop doesn't have any good squares, fortunately. And I keep pushing my new passed pawn. Do I want to go b6 or can I play more cunningly? No, I think I'll just wait for a move, improve my king a little bit. Not all that much black can do. He also has to defend his weakness on f6. So yeah, he is totally lost, but I could have finished that game a lot more quickly. Exciting show, I know. I barely know where the pieces are. I don't think everybody's been able to keep track. We're gonna look at it with the pieces once it's over. But yeah, didn't mean to prolong this game forever. I just messed it up with that pass pawn on b7. There were many easy wins, I'm sure. Yeah, black doesn't have that much to do. He's moving his king around while I'm trying to improve my positions a little bit before going for the kill. Rook d7, I could take on f6, but I'd rather just centralize. f5 check. Really not a textbook game for technical play, this one. If in doubt, grab more pawns. Rook g7. Trying to activate, which is fair enough. I'll send my king on a little journey. Is it journey or journey, by the way? I never know. Really just making random moves. It's kind of sad. Blindfold pre-move. Exciting. And Poogs resigns. That was, yeah. I was winning and I had the position the whole game, but at some point, yeah, I started panicking a little bit about not being able to do anything constructive. So let's briefly go through it. All of this stuff is pretty much theory. Here, f6 I'm sure has been played after castles g5. I couldn't recall. I don't think that's the main line. They play knight c5 along castles here, which is messy. g5, maybe knight e5 is a critical move here. I wasn't sure. But what I did looked half sensible. a5. Here black should really play a6 to stop me from breaking a structure. Here after a6 I'm pretty much winning already. So far so good, but now I started messing around and missed like 800 easy wins. I'm sure after bishop d7. Well, must be plenty. The way I did it was not convincing at all. But the position remained winning all the way. It's an endgame. Couple pawns up, where once again my technique was not impressive, but I think I kept enough control so that nothing too bad could ever happen to me, except for losing on time, because here I started missing mates, but no, not missing mates, but not finding mates. But fortunately for me, Poogs resigned here when I picked up the piece. Yeah, this blindfold, it's not that tough to do, but one has to concentrate a lot. And yeah, sorry if that was too boring, but problem with the stream. Some people are saying stream is down. Is the stream down? What's going on? Anybody out there? Can you tell me if the stream is down? Looks like during all the action, the stream disappeared. That's weird. Hey guys, I hope I'm back and you can see me. I don't know what was going on. As I said, I was getting some worrisome messages from my computer and the internet has been a little bad around the office. I can switch to the other internet line we have if these problems remain. But let me know if you can see me again. After already not being able to see the board in my spectacular blindfold efforts, looked like the stream disappeared. Let's see if we are back. What would these shows be if everything ran smoothly without the anxiety of, am I able to reach the good people out there? Okay, looks like we're back. Apologies for that. I'm not quite sure what happened, but I do hope things will run smoothly now, and I'll keep a closer eye on the chat. I sort of had to ignore it because I was playing blindfold, and if he makes a move on the board, which I can't see, then I don't have many chances to stay in the game. So we're gonna move back to watching the board and all. In the part that you guys probably couldn't see, I was praising myself for, being a great genius blindfold player and winning that game. Moving on. Let's play someone. I don't know whom. Let's play Ando. Ando from Australia. Premium member, and I shall go e4 against him very brazenly. Is that a word? A lot of action in the chat, but I gotta focus on Ando. Another New Year's resolution. I get too distracted during these games talking about whatever movie I want to talk about, and I'm not explaining what's going on, which is one of the goals of this Banter Blitz show, that we all learn something. He goes knight ge7. I'm out of book, but how good can this be? Some people go d4 here or not. Knight c3 or fancy stuff. Well, I'll just play c3. And we get some very normal Spanish against this bishop d7 stuff. very often play can transpose to some King's Indian structures should white ever choose to go d5 and exchange bishops on d7. We get some King's Indian sort of position. There was something else I liked here, but I can't really recall. That's a problem with not being an e4 player. Sidelines I'm not very booked up in. I'll take here. That structure is a little closer to my heart than the King's Indian structure, but I don't think this is the critical move. White shouldn't release the tension just yet. Probably, I don't know, a move like h3 is the way to go. I remember that in some line d takes e5 was a good move, but here I have the feeling that I haven't accomplished all that much. Like, you could hope to be slightly better after bishop e5. I might want to go bishop h6, but after d e5 it is very, very little. My pieces are slightly better than the black pieces. The bishop on g7 is sort of, not ideally placed, staring at his own pawn, but of course it's hard to claim a serious edge here. Wondering if I should throw in some rook to d1, but I don't think I should. He would just go queen c7, so I'm gonna get some pieces out and play standard long-term stuff. a4, I want to get the knight to a3 and c4 without being bothered by c5, and I want to enjoy the fact that his bishop and his knight are a little misplaced, so yeah, his position is a bit unpleasant for black. Not end of the world unpleasant, but slightly awkward to defend, and it says he's disconnected, which, wouldn't be the ideal finish of the game, but he's back. Endo is back all the way to Australia. The advances of modern technology, like that's a 22-hour flight, and I can play him here in real time. Not gonna argue this is the only place where you can play him, but still strange if you think about it. Don't want to go all philosophical on you. We've had the internet for enough years that we're used to this stuff, I would guess. But it's still cool. Queen c7. Promise he plays well. I'll go knight c4. And it's hard for black to find good squares for his pieces. A move like knight c8 comes to mind in order to go knight d6. But both these guys are not where they would like to be. And that's why black is worse. Well, I have 1,000 useful moves to improve my position. a5, a3, rook d1. For black it's not so obvious what he should be doing. He could think about b6 just to stop me from going a5. But it's very much my kind of position. Small advantage, no risk. His pieces are a little limited. I like it. And I've played this structure countless times out of the purge. So I do feel at home here. He's going b6, which is a good move, though. Feel less at home now. I'll play a3, see what he does next. Sometimes it's good old do not hurry principle in positions where you're a little better. Don't make black's life too easy by revealing the hand instead. Maneuver a little bit, but he's found some very sensible moves, and I'm not sure I should keep being so proud of what I've been doing. Not obvious how to improve. While he's played good moves. Rook d7, now he's going to go rook d8. And he's neutralized a part of my advantage. Can't see anything better than exchanging those rooks as well. I'm still slightly better because his minor pieces are the problem pieces, but clearly black has made progress here, while I really haven't. Nah. I've played badly. I'm still gonna grind this out somehow, but it's not the model game that I was hoping for it to be. He keeps doing very sensible things now. He can't go knight d6 yet because I would pin him, but he could start with, even king f8 is decent. I was thinking about doing the same thing, centralizing my king to cover some squares on the d-file, so I have a bit more freedom with the queen. And now the knight goes to d6. He's playing well, he's playing better than me, frankly. I don't want to exchange knights, but with a knight on d6, one big part of his problems is solved. Improving that knight I still think, maybe I'm crazy, I still think I'm slightly better because I can generate some tension on the queen side, and there are some potential weaknesses, but he keeps playing very logically. f5 now, trying to create some counterplay. f5 is always a little double-edged though, because it also weakens the pawn on e5 long term. But so far, yeah, after the opening, Ando's played a great game, and there's not much I can critique. Still, here comes the next wave. I want to go c5 and get to these, or a5, but probably c5, get to these weaknesses on the king side. Knight c8 keeps defending well. I'm not sure. It looks like black should be on the verge of collapse, but he's still hanging around. So let's probe a little here, see what happens. Yeah, one factor is still this bishop being a little out of play. He's defended very well, and now bishop f8, that factor is also becoming less and less, but I do still have these pawn weaknesses now to give me hope for the future. And now I might be threatening queen takes c8, transposing to a winning endgame. I'll recapture here. Maybe queen takes c8 won, but I feel like there's no rush. It's gonna be very hard to stop. Yeah, bishop f8 gives me a bunch of tempting choices. Knight takes e5. That's pretty much it, but it's tempting nevertheless. And once again, 2 pawns are 2 pawns, so this endgame is easily winning. Good defense by Ando, but I did manage to get to some of his weaknesses, and yeah, here it's not much to talk about. It's too many pawns. And Ando resigns. Good game though. Let's see if the show is still on. I should also make the chat window bigger. Some qualified questions. What's your score against Kasparov? It's 0-0. So let's play another game of chess. Oh, I also have to weigh in on Making a Murderer. Any of you guys seen Making a Murderer? Everybody's obsessed with it and talking about it. I also binge watched it over Christmas in like 2 days. It is a shocking story. I'm not sure I want to spoil it, but you should watch it. I think I do want to spoil it, but I'll get to it later. Right now I'm trying to find a new opponent. Lots of challenges. That's good to see. Always happy to have action here. Whom to play though? So tough. I'll play Alfredo. Looks like I never played Alfredo. From Uruguay. Another far, far away place. And I'll go modern on him. Go g6, bishop g7. I don't really choose the opponents according to rating. There's always a big discussion. Should I play stronger opponents? Should I play weaker opponents to give everyone a chance and so on? I try, not to make my main criteria if I've played someone already or not. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to, maybe start playing some matches against famous YouTubers and so on. I've played a bit against Niklas in the past. And this guy, John Bartholomew, whom I don't know well, but I'm being told he has a very popular and good YouTube channel. I'm going to play a match against him in, when was it, February, after the Vikings craze is over. And I'm sure I'll find some more to get us some more entertainment. I haven't thought it through, but I enjoy doing this show, but I also want to try out some new things in 2016, so we'll see what we can get done. We have a very similar structure to the one we had last game with colors reversed. What I like is that his bishop is on g3, where it's not perfectly placed. So this is a better situation for me than my opponent had last game, because his bishop is slightly misplaced, and my pieces are not obviously bad. In fact, I can start deploying this knight to either take the bishop or to go to f4 and then do all the usual perch stuff. Go knight f4, knight c5, a5, whatnot. Deep description of the plans. Do something. What do I know? I'll go here. Slightly concerned about b4, but if I have to, I can always throw a knight g3, hg, knight e6, and then b4 would become a target for my pieces. So I don't think that's a problem, and if you can't do that, I have an abundance of easy to make moves. Rook d8, bishop g4, a5, b5. Well, for white it's not that obvious. As I said, this is, I think, a much worse version of what I had last game. He could go bishop h4, but then, yeah, he does go bishop h4. I was going to say, I think I have a tempting choice between f6, trying to keep this bishop out of the game, and bishop f6. I'll go bishop f6 because, in theory, this is my bad bishop with the pawn on e5, and I don't mind exchanging it. Once again, same theme as last game. This bishop could be a bit of a problem. Yeah, I think I'm slightly better here. Of course, nothing dramatic, but I don't mind it. You have to consider stuff like b4, followed by queen d6. Alfredo goes for queen c1. He's looking for more exchanges with queen to g5, but once again, I don't mind it. I like exchanges if I can extract some positional advantages from them. And yeah, after bishop e2, it's time to revisit this lovely square for the knight. Put some pressure. Knight e2, followed by bishop f3 is a threat. Queen e3, let's bring the other knight, hopefully, towards the d4 square. See what happens if Alfredo can hang in there. But yeah, it's unpleasant already. Also, his knight on c3, another problem that I didn't have last game, is misplaced. If you get this knight to c4, followed by a4, that's nice. But on c3, it's often a bit of a spectator, and is also not keeping an eye on the d4 square. So, having said all that, maybe I just blundered all my pieces, but maybe he did. Knight takes e5, does that work? No, knight e2 and queen e5, right? Yeah, I don't think it works, but his position was already maybe not beyond repair, but very, very unpleasant to play. And this, at the very least, it's very creative. f3 and g4, he's going to win his piece back. The problem is the position that remains is not going to be very good, but it's still a very cute solution for a position that had a lot of problems. So kudos to Alfredo. c3 is trying to win my queen. Not going to be able to do it. But I do think he's playing well. I don't know. Probably my normal instinct would be to go queen b6 and then win the endgame. But I have a feeling I might be boring you guys too much, even for my very boring standards. Hard to resist, though. Such a beautiful looking move. Nah, let's keep queens on the board. This is the worst move, though. I should never try to entertain anybody. Trying too hard. I've been accused of trying too hard to be funny. Well, I'm German, and we all know Germans can't be funny, so it's a futile effort in either case. It's another New Year's resolution of mine. Don't try so hard. What's going on? More problems in the stream? If the stream is dead, they should announce it, so I can only read half of the chat. So we can go fly a kite. If you have the option of going to fly a kite, by all means do it. There's nothing's gonna fly in these shows, and you can always watch them later. There's really no point in watching them live, unless you want to play me. No, that's not true. I'm happy that people come and watch them live. But yeah, flying a kite sounds fun. I could take on g5, then h4. I don't know. That's another thing on my resolutions list. Like, in these positions where I kind of know I'm gonna win, like, first of all, I have to stay more focused, and also I should make an effort to explain things that are going on a little more clearly. Like, too often I switch topics, talk about making a murderer, Do I think Stephen Avery was framed? I absolutely do. Do I think he's guilty? Yeah, I think he's probably guilty as well. So yeah, don't do that. Instead, focus on rook d8. And is there any counterplay after takes followed by queen b8 check? Or is queen takes f7 an idea? I don't think it is. Rook f7. Yeah, tough to keep the balance. I know he got new lawyers, but I think he did it. He was clearly framed, like the key, and we could argue about stuff with the car and so on, but there's still overwhelming evidence against him, and also profile-wise, like he's been up to a lot of bad stuff. In the series, he looked very, very sympathetic, and yeah, couldn't help but rooting for the guy. But I don't know. I read up on this a lot, and I do think that he's very likely guilty. Another discussion is, should he be in jail, because I don't think his guilt was proven beyond a reasonable doubt. So it's a very tricky topic, and I'm still thinking about it. But the documentary, of course, was a bit one-sided because they had a story to tell. If I was a betting man, and if I would know, obviously, I would say he's probably guilty. But yeah, check it out. It's fascinating, and the insights you get into the US justice system and all these villainous characters, really, in the justice system, like the state attorney and this defense lawyer for this poor kid, Len. I mean, they're punished enough with all the abuse they're getting on social media now. But yeah, it's shocking, and it's worth a watch. A little too long, but it should have been 6 episodes, not 10. But I highly recommend watching Making a Murderer. And yeah, I have a lot of theories about it, which won't make sense to 90% of the viewers, but it's a very disconcerting, is that a word? Disconcerting show. Just like this one, should it ever work, I shall find a new opponent. Whom haven't we played? Play someone I've played already, and whom I have, if I can trust this, a minus score against. Can we believe that? Where was it? Ah, now it disappeared. Here it is. Washi Deluxe says he's up 1-0 against me. Can that be true? Can probably be true. I lose a lot of games. But let's rectify that situation against Washi. Bangs out the whatever it's called, b6. Yeah, I don't consider b6 a critical move because white gets a good version of the headshock here, like this classical headshock, where yeah, white hasn't had to make any concessions, and even though black can blitz out like 800 moves, I still think this is a good position for white. a4 is one plan. The more standard plan is to go b4, rook c1, knight b3, and so on, which I also think is better for white, but I've always had a soft spot for this plan, even though Washi seems very determined to not spend a single second on any move. Very impressive stuff from Washi. Let's see how it goes, though. I do believe white is a little better here, but one always has to be careful in these positions not to allow any counter play with d5 breakthroughs and so on. So it's tricky. Knight c5, also an interesting move. Time to start thinking a little bit. Not too long though. And go here. My idea is to just go b4 to drive this knight away. And d1 sometimes is a pretty reasonable square for our knights in these structures. He could go knight b3, but then I can take and take on a6 if I'm not mistaken. So it looked sensible to me. It's a 3-minute game, so I'm going to have to speed up, not to go down 2-0 against Washi. Let's see what happens. He goes knight b3, which, yeah, positionally is correct, but I thought I can grab a pawn. d5. But isn't the endgame quite good for me? Not sure what Washi had in mind here. Well, I can take here for starters. And I shall. Yeah, that didn't work out so well. I equalized the scores, yay me. And yeah, it's just an unpleasant line for black, in my humble opinion. Down again? Really? I don't trust all of you guys. So if someone can still see me, I'm gonna continue the show. But I'm not sure what's going on. We've had internet troubles in the office for a while now. I can switch to a different line if I really have to. But it says perfect streaming here now, so I'll continue rambling. We shall find out. Who else is here? Mario Weissenberger. Let's play against Mario. Looks like someone's still watching, so that's good news. And I'll play against Mario Weissenberger. I will play the always exciting Sicilian. One thing I should do, which probably I will never do because I'm a very old man, but I should at some point put in more work to make the Najdorf a part of my repertoire, which I've never really done. I've played it a bit when I was like 16, 17, but never became an expert on it. And I think it's a good opening. It's also a very interesting opening. So yeah, I wish I was more flexible. Like I'm reasonably good in e4, e5 positions, and I can play some Sicilians a bit like the Dragon and the Taimanov, but the Najdorf I've never really put in the work, and I should have at some point. So as usual, my advice to all the youngsters out there, don't waste your time like me playing sidelines. Play main lines, play sharp stuff. You're gonna have a friend for life, and you also learn more because you play more different kinds of positions. For me, I believe this is one of these hotly debated lines here of the poison pawn after e5 takes, f takes e, and g5, where I don't really know anything. I know objectively black is supposed to be fine. I know Wei Yi recently won a nice game against Aryshchenko, but that's pretty much the extent of my knowledge. f5 I'm also not familiar with. Do you go knight c6 here? There's some f5 lines where you go knight c6, but I'm not sure if this is one of them. What alternatives do I have? Bishop e7 and takes, bishop c4. Is that a problem? See, it's tough to play these positions without knowing anything. I'll play knight c6. Could lead to some very strange positions I was thinking about after fe, knight takes c6, b takes c, and e5, something like that. e5, d takes e5, and very messy stuff. I'm, not sure if this is theory. In this move order, if he goes fe now, I can maybe go bishop e6, so I thought he should have started with fe, but this is all guesswork on my part. Bishop d3. Yeah, now I should be fine. Just get some pieces out. Should take some care not to lose my queen, which is always a good idea. Bishop g3. Nah, this is not it, Mario. Guess I'll just castle. Still, I gotta find a place for my lady. I think I can still go queen a5. Always important to double check not to run into any knight d5 tricks, but the queen on d2 is loose, so no problems there. Bishop e1 is actually a pretty decent move, trying to embarrass the queen there and also preparing knight d5 tricks. And in some of these lines you have some move repetitions, which I don't want, of course, with queen c5, bishop f2 and so on. So instead I'll go passive here for lack of a better option and go queen c7. When maybe as some compensation, but I got all my pieces out. I'm still a pawn up, so the opening should have gone well. Mario is going for checkmate. I'll encourage him a little bit. Not too much, just a little encouragement. Promise, if there's no checkmate, then my counterplay in the center will become quite powerful, and I think that's what has happened. Bishop d2, last resort, dc. He wants bishop h6, which shouldn't work, but this is easier, and this is game. Sorry, Mario. And yeah, I'll never become a good Najdorf player. It's too late for me, but it's not too late for you guys. I think we have a good series on the site by Sopiko Guramishvili, who stole all of Anish Giri's notes for it. No, I made that part up, but it's nevertheless a very good series, I'm being told. And yeah, I should watch that, and so should you. After you're done with my series on the Vienna, which of course is the greatest series ever produced in chess recording. Let's play some more games. Let's play against AM Echoes. some making a murderer questions. Do I think Brenton Dassey was involved? That part I'm not sure about. Like, it was incredibly painful to watch how they coerced that confession out of him. If you've seen the documentary, like this interrogation of a kid that's clearly, I don't know what the correct term is, but yeah, that's clearly has some mental issues and is of below average intelligence, let's say. I'm not sure which term to use. I'm not a doctor. But yeah, to see him interrogated and the guys pretty much feeding him the answers, that's how it looked like in the documentary, was very painful to watch. And from just that, I'd be saying, of course he has nothing to do with it. He's 100% innocent. I've read that, there wasn't a whole story and he knew some details no one else could have known and so on and so forth. But since there was zero evidence and, that confession, obviously from what I've seen, looked completely coerced, it's very hard to believe there's enough grounds to find him guilty. But it's tricky. Like, it's obvious the documentary shows a lot of flaws with the justice system and some truly despicable characters. But it also, it had a story to tell and it told one side. So I'm not sure how much we can believe. Same goes for AM Echo's opening play here. He's run into trouble quite quickly, starting with A6. If you go A6 before you got in B6 or D6 after C5 here in these structures, you tend to end up in real big trouble already. And things haven't improved, so after bishop f6, I'm more or less winning already because gf6 is knight d5, and if bishop f6, there's c takes d6. It's, these positions, they are hard to play if you're not accustomed to them. And I have to find the cleanest way now, I guess. I don't know, everything looks very good. I guess I'll just play it super dryly as you're accustomed to and go for the kind of winning endgame. Pawn is a pawn. Sorry for all the Making a Murderer talk. Watch it if you haven't seen it. It is spectacular and, hotly debated. A lot of people have very different opinions. For me, is there problems with the system? Absolutely. Are there despicable characters? Absolutely. And I don't mean the guy's convicted. But do I think there's a very good chance they're guilty, especially Stephen Avery? Absolutely. Knight b8, very deep. I don't know, I'm winning. It's always hard to make the right moves when winning. Abundance of choices. If in doubt, grab pawns is really my mantra. I was going to say develop some more pieces, but I don't believe in that. I believe in pawn grabbing, and I'm going to go after the b7 pawn with everything I've got. And I've got enough to win it. AM Echoes, this has not been a fun game for him so far, because, out of the gate, under pressure. And there's something mentioned which I'm not from the US, but that's a lesson you learn, like watching all these shows. Like, if you interrogated, just shut up and ask for a lawyer. Even if you haven't done anything, it's just too risky. You might say something wrong and it's very hard to get out of it. Like, that's really the lesson we are taught, which is sad, because you don't want everybody crying for a lawyer whenever you want to have to communicate with the authorities. But that seems like is the lesson all of this stuff teaches us, at least in the US. Like, I can't say I've had many or any interactions really with police in Germany, so I can't say, but that seems to be the lesson learned there. Always ask for a lawyer. I've also been obsessed, while we're on the topic, with this podcast. I'm obsessed with many podcasts, but there's one called Serial Season 1, which also deals with an old murder case, has been a huge success, lots of downloads. I've also been obsessed with that one. I think it's a fantastic show. I'm sure I spoiled that one as well. I guess so. I also think that guy is guilty, even though, when you're listening to it, you don't want to believe in it. But I've also read up on this a lot, and I've read some profiles and so on. So, a lot of great shows out there, but also it's the danger of social media and media in general, and with showing one side of the story or the side you believe in. Like, you never know what's true and what's not. What is true is that I'm totally winning here. And AM Echoes could resign with a pretty clear conscience. Now he does. that went wrong early in the game. Being asked if I bought the shirt in LA. No, it's a really old shirt. I might have bought it in the States. I might have bought it in Vegas. I think I bought it in Vegas, yeah. But a long, long time ago. I don't buy t-shirts anymore. All I buy is shirts now. I have like hundreds not, but I have lots and lots of dress shirts. I'm running out of t-shirts. I have to do a wardrobe do-over. Whom do we play? That's another big question. Let's play against Snitcher. Not sure if Snitcher is a snitch. Hey, if he was a snitch, he probably wouldn't have to call for his lawyer when interrogated by the police. He would gladly sell them the information, but Snitcher might mean something totally different. And yeah, another position I'm not very familiar with. B3 here, but how bad can it be? Let's get the bishop out. E3, knight f6, and we get some sort of, whatever they call this, the Torre attack reversed. Sure, I've played this position once or twice. Here, bishop h5 looks logical. Bishop f3 also looks logical. I'll take, which, yeah, normally I love my bishops, but in this position I think it can be justified because black wins some time for development. It's the bad bishop on paper. And so on and so forth. Now the equalizing move would be bishop a3, and I'm not sure I want to do it because it's a little dry. It's the best move, however. Always a conflict. Yeah, can't get out of my skin, I'll do it, but it sort of makes the game a little more boring. Still, in these positions after queen e7, it's always worth for white keeping an eye out for bishop a3, and should he stop it with a3, or for black to take it into consideration. cd5 is a mistake. Like, not a huge mistake, but this structure with the bishop on f3 is now very nice for white, and now that he's committed to this, I can change plans. Now I want to keep the bishops on the board because this bishop on b2 is not very active, to put it mildly. I guess you should go knight c5 when I have a tempting choice between knight takes c5 and bishop e5, which is slightly better for me, or just ignoring the knight. He goes knight c3, but then I can go here, I would guess. And yeah, now this is really a problem. Like in this Carlsbad structure, you want the bishop outside of your pawn chain, else don't go cd5. Not sure if knight e4 was correct. Now he could actually go bishop e4 and maybe d5, trying to get some life into this bishop, but I'm still better here. After knight e2, I can go knight f6, try to bring the knight around here. No, this hasn't gone well for Snitcher. Should have kept his mouth shut. b4, gimme. All my strategy talk. If you give me a free pawn, I'm still not gonna hesitate for a second. And yeah, this hasn't really improved white's position. He got the square on g3 for his knight, but so what? And he's still in real big trouble. We can exchange his knight, but he's still gonna end up with a bad bishop against a good knight and a pawn down, so not a lot of fun. Do I go for the attack? Nah, later. Let's first defend stuff. Rook e7 provokes a4. I'm not sure I should have done that. At least it gives his bishop some potential hope, but the position itself is pretty much hopeless, even if you don't blunder the queen. To rub it in, because I'm a bad person, I'm going to go rook g6, threatening mate, and now take it. But I could have taken it immediately, which is what a class act would have done. Yeah, that went pretty smoothly, but cd5 in that structure really is an instructive mistake in my opinion. Don't do that. Like here after cd5, ed5, at the very least now get rid of the bishops, because now if I can keep them, this bishop is really going to be a problem. But even then, the structure is much easier to play for black, so that went wrong. Being asked about Fiona. Fiona started here a week ago, and I'm sure she can tell you herself what she's going to be up to. She's certainly going to be involved very shortly in the Vike commentary. We're going to have a lot of action in Chess 24 land. Artur Yusupov is coming. I'm going to record 2 video series with him. It's really going to be his video series, his material. I'll just keep him company and ask dumb questions. At the same time, unfortunately at the same time, there's going to be Vaikanze starting. I think I'm going to do commentary in the first couple rounds with Fiona, then a couple days it's going to be Fiona and someone else while Artur is here, and then our boy Peter Svidler is coming for not only the grand finale, for most of it actually, from round 6 till 13 it's going to be Peter and me, and I'm sure we'll have Fiona involved in the show in some capacity as well. So yeah, Vike is going to be a lot of fun and big challenge. We're trying to do a good show from the Hamburg studio. And I'm very much looking forward to it. Obviously, I love working with Peter. He's not only a great commentator, but he also shares most of my cultural references, so that's going to be tons of fun. He's very good at chess, so normally I'll just shut up and let him do the analyzing and make jokes, but I'm very much looking forward to that. Also looking forward to playing another game. Whom do I play? A lot of challenges, which is great. Probably should do more shows on weekends, but I'm so lazy. Oh, we have a female Grandmaster, Christina Feuser. Let's play her. WGM. And yeah, don't worry, the board will get adjusted at some point. Here we are. If Chris Feuser is here, goes knight f3. I'll go d5, simple-minded. That I am. And g3. Once again, yeah, many systems possible here. In an effort to stay consistent with my Catalan repertoire, I've recently been doing this, and here after d4 transposing to the Catalan, of course, many other options. And second time today we see this line. Seems like it's very popular out there. The problem from Black's point of view is that White is very solid, and it's hard to generate winning chances in some of these positions. This is one of them. But such is life sometimes with Black. She's following a trendy line, the game between, I wish I could remember, Elyanov and Nakamura, is that it? I think, yeah, was knight d2 played in that game? I think that game was knight d2. Knight c3 also a logical move. And we have a pretty typical Catalan structure with these opposite colored bishops. Where, yeah, I've been talking about this in my series. I believe Black has to be fine here, but I can never really wrap my head around it and understand all the subtleties of what's going on. I still have a very hard time believing White is better here. F4 is a very... F4, I'm starting to speak German. It's a very ambitious plan, trying to checkmate me on the king side. And yeah, who knows? Maybe queen will come to h5 now. Can I go c5? I really want to go c5 and generate some counterplay. Yeah, this looks like a good moment to do it. Even if it loses a pawn, which I don't think it does, but even if it lost a pawn, like activating my pieces after f4 now should take precedence to all these things. Of course, c5 weakens some squares in my camp as well, but I feel it's more important to undermine the white structure as long as I get a chance. Takes looks forced, takes, and... yeah, no, the white king is potentially a little weaker than my king. I'm not claiming an advantage here. I believe it's still pretty much equal, but my position should be a little easier to play. I'm not going to waste time trying to defend this pawn. I feel after bishop b7 I should have enough tricks like knight d3 or whatnot. And yeah, she doesn't take it, goes rook c1, which is sensible. I'm wondering if I should still go knight d3, and I have a feeling I should. Because at least for temporarily this rook on c1 is going to be half pinned, and after takes, which is forced, rook takes, now knight a2 or knight e2 can be met with grabbing e3. e3 is hanging, and I am threatening bishop c3, so I was hoping I was posing some problems here. Rook e2. Yeah, I guess I should follow the good old pawn is a pawn mantra, even though pawn is not quite a pawn yet. I'm going to have to think a little here, because after queen c3 there is queen takes b7, and I'm not sure how big my advantage is. Still, yeah, I don't see anything better. I was planning queen c3, queen b7, queen c4, but now I've spotted queen b5, which is annoying. Slightly mishandled this. I feel like there was some concrete way here, queen c4 or queen c3. I couldn't spot it. b6 feels slightly off topic. I'm still a little better because I can either occupy the d file or grab a pawn, or ideally both. But I have a feeling I've been drifting a bit here. So I'm going to keep drifting, make some useful moves at least quickly, and one point or another I'm going to start cashing in with rook d3. But first I wanted some comfortable squares for my army. Might have overdone the slow playing here. But yeah, that can happen. No, I think I was enjoying myself too much. I should have gone rook d3 a move earlier before she went back, which was very clever. Because now, yeah, it's getting tougher and tougher to win this. I'm still better, but I'm messing around, and now this queen e5 check. And I'm not sure this is winning. It's obviously black is better, but if it's winning or not, you never know. Still, I will be pawn up, and e5 is going to be another weakness, so it should be good winning chances. But is it winning? h4, I wish I had any clue how to do such things. Do I go g5 or do I go h5? I don't know. Gotta speed up a little bit. Once again, I have a feeling I'm winning, but I don't have any faith in my technique at all. Point is now rook f7 doesn't work because I can then move my rook and queen. While if that doesn't work, I can bring my king for a little trip. King f2 always loses because of rook h1. So yeah, this rook ending looks bad. Oof, tough fight, but worked out in the end. And yeah, the endgame should have been winning, but I'm not quite sure if my technique was very exemplary there. Let's play someone else. I'm already getting tired, but no, we're like 1 hour 20 in. That's still not even the halfway point of the Revenant, where I was already thinking, come on, just get back to the camp. We all know what's gonna happen. I don't want to watch 2 more hours of this misery. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if DiCaprio got his Oscar for it, and I'm sure he must have suffered tremendously making that movie. But sometimes the effort that goes in doesn't translate into a good movie, if that makes sense. I'll play Filipino, even though I think Filipino really is German. By the way, for all the Germans, the German version of my new series, the Vienna, is also done and recorded. It's in whatever we call post-production, making sure stuff is okay. And it should come out on Monday, if we're lucky. Monday or Tuesday, very early next week. The Spanish, I don't know what to do. Let's play what I normally do. The good old Marshall. Marshall Bravestar. What is Marshall Bravestar? I don't even know. I'm just talking. It's some cartoon series for kids. Which one is Marshall Bravestar? Is he the one with the horse with the gun? Help me out here. This is an important topic. I'll check the chat. Is Marshall Bravestar the guy who had the horse that could stand and speak and shoot? Or is that something else? We're playing the good old Marshall here, which is not an ideal opening. Actually, it is an ideal opening. It's my favorite opening, but sometimes I don't do it if I want to play for a win and I have a feeling my opponent prepared one of the drawing lines, which do exist in my series on the Marshall, which is also on Chess24, the updated version. I've given some recommendations on how one can avoid drawing lines and so on and so forth, but the nature of all these sharp positions, if they're analyzed with a computer, of course, tends to be that white can defend. I believe this is one of them, even though I don't remember the theory here. I believe f3, and then if takes and bishop takes f3, then yeah, the position was kind of equal. And here, Filipino really booked up. That's the problem. Sometimes people are booked up to the eyeballs and you want to get them out of theory. Sometimes you don't. And yeah, me, I can't really remember a thing. Of course, that's not a problem. knight f4 here. Did knight f4 work? I don't want to go too crazy. I wish I could remember. This might be one of these positions where knight f4 or bishop takes f4 actually worked. But I honestly can't remember. Do I want to think about it? Nah, not really. I have a feeling bishop f4 is the move here. Shall we just do it? Let's just do it. The problem is, yeah, I'm 1,000 points higher rated or whatever, and I'm taking some risks of losing the game here if I misremembered my martial theory or just did some nonsense. And you're also taking some risks of going for a perpetual. That's why I meant, like, sometimes, even though the martial is a good opening, it's not a great idea against lower rated players if I'm not prepared for the game. Many ifs and so on and so forth. But yeah, I'm not sure if I know what I'm doing here. Knight e4 looks sensible. Let's go for the maximum mess possible. Nah, f5 just bishop f4, right? That's no good. Oh boy. Famous world-leading martial expert Jan Gustafsson. Blundering stuff all over the place. Should remember those things. But I don't. Check out my series, I'm sure I talk about this in excruciating detail, and I'll check my notes after I'm done with this video. But this certainly doesn't look like the way to play. Here I helped white develop, and yeah, I haven't gotten very far with my attack. I think I'm just lost objectively, actually. Bishop d5 wasn't forced, but it's decent enough. But since this knight was pinned, I would have left it alive for a while. But yeah, not very proud of my play thus far. Gotta go f4 to at least create some semblance of play. If gf, rook e6, rook g6. I guess you should go g4 when I'm still not in love with my position, but I'll keep fishing for stuff, queen g5, h5, and see what happens. Someone mentions d3 is normally played in the martial. Yeah, d3 is more popular at top level nowadays, but d4 still has a huge body of theory and work. And I used to be a series expert in all this stuff, and I still, well, at least my notes still are. I still think I do know how to play all these martial lines, but if you don't play them for a while, you gotta refresh memory, and that's... Nah, I don't want this to become a Jan is whining about stuff session, but I don't spend enough time these days refreshing my memory or working on chess for my own scary openings. And yeah, Filipino keeps playing well here. Rook e3 looks like the obvious move, but I'm still not happy. I'm never that happy, but still not even happy-ish. Knight f1, and I'm fighting for a draw, which you could argue is the nature of the martial, but it's not what you want against a much lower rated opponent. You have to trick him somehow. Now white has h4, for example. It's gonna be hard to even trick him. h3 is also a decent move, of course. How do we put pressure? I don't know. I don't see it. Might not be able to do it. I have to win on time somehow. Filipino spending a lot of time on every move, but so far it's been a good investment because he's certainly outplayed me. Decent drawing chances here, as mentioned, but no more than that. I'll go h4 just because I'm still trying to fish for a win and I want to go queen f4, queen g3. But now there's also plenty potential perpetuals. My king isn't that safe, like queen f5, queen g3. I'm not sure I have more than a perpetual. And a move like king h1 is also... Oh no, sorry, king h1 drops f3. Yeah, maybe I am asking some questions, but not happy. Hoping for queen g2, e2 check, and it happened. Finally. Milk. And Filipino, since he's losing his queen, had to resign. Yeah, I'm gonna have to read up on my marshal. I know this line is nothing for white, but who knows why? I should know that, but rook takes e8, I can't recall details. We'll find out, or I'll find out. If you want to find out, you can check out my series. I'm pretty sure I talked about it. Let's play like 2 more games. I think I've covered all the topics I carefully prepared for today on the way here, right? We've talked about the Revenant, not great. We've talked about making a murderer, great, but yeah, I'm not so sure about all the innocent petitions out there, even though I'm not sure they should have been convicted, either of them. What else have I seen? I've seen The Last Kingdom, which Svidler told me to watch. It's alright, it's like Vikings. It literally is Vikings, but there's a show called Vikings that is very similar. But yeah, I was entertained for a couple hours, so not blaming Svidler for it. It was pretty good. Like, not must-watch TV, but pretty good. Story of young Utrecht and his shifting loyalties between the Vikings and the English. And in the end, we all learned a valuable lesson about integrity and loyalty and what it means growing up when Vikings and Englishmen are killing each other. I don't know what we're supposed to have learned, but it was entertaining. Else, yeah, no, not that much TV. Recently, I've been very addicted to podcasts, as I've mentioned. I'm listening to all kinds of stuff. I've listened to this Serial Season 1. And there's some podcasts I listen to pretty much regularly. None of them talks about the Berlin, but yeah, WTF with Mark Maron, The Adam Carolla Show, Nerdist, Comedy Bang Bang. A lot of stuff out there and only so many hours in the day. A lot of Berlin lines to choose from as well. I never know which one to go for. King 8, H5 is the most solid. These setups with Bishop D7 are a little more adventurous. I don't know him that well. That's a little more fun trying to bring the king over to the queen side and hoping that the king side will survive in the meantime. H6 is another big philosophical Berlin discussion. Should black go H6 or can he go King C8 immediately, allowing white to go Knight G5, then Bishop E8 and so on. It's a mess, the Berlin. I'm not going to pretend to really understand anything. Neither does SK3. I don't think A3 is a critical move, but both sides have an abundance of different plans, and yeah, none of them are necessarily bad. Here, after Bishop E3, maybe I could have gone H5 already. But I feel like playing on the queen side first. I want to get this diagonal for my bishop and see what happens. Good thing about the Berlin is I know it's the most demonized opening out there by chess commentators all over the place, me included, but it's actually very interesting strategically, this endgame. The main problem most guys, me included, have with it, we don't really understand it and therefore it's very hard to commentate, but the positions themselves, I think they are very rich and interesting. Like, b4 was a good move. I underestimated b4 and I didn't expect sk3 to come up with it, frankly, because it's not that natural, because you're allowing black to get rid of his double pawns, but it's much more important for white to undermine this structure and fight for the d4 square. So sk3 is playing surprisingly, or no offense meant, but he's playing very, very well here in this highly complicated position. Now I think he has to go g5, which is normally not what you want on the Berlin. But once again, he's accomplished some things as well. And it's still highly complicated. Because let's not forget, black doesn't really develop any pieces in the Berlin at an early stage. So these situations are very, very tense. I'm gonna stay provocative, move my bishop back from this nice diagonal. I think I had a point when I did this, which I forgot by now. Sure, I had some deep point, but I forgot about it. Now I have a feeling I'm slightly being outplayed here by sk3 in a Berlin, which shouldn't happen. Just shouldn't happen. But what can I do? Soldier on. Try to pick up some material. Let's see if that works. And it did work. SK3 resigns. Sorry, SK3. I'll play one more game against a randomly chosen opponent from my long list of challenges. Sorry I couldn't get to everybody, as is often the case. And then call it a day. We'll do another one very shortly. Next week, I believe. Miss Tactics, Sopiko Guramishvili, is going to be in Hamburg as well. And I'm sure she's going to do some shows from the studio. But I'll try to get in my Banter Blitzes. I won't try, I'll just do it. We just got to figure out the time. I'll do an opening clinic. We haven't had one for a long time. So I'll do one of those. If you have questions, especially about the series I just released, let me know. We're going to publish a news article at some point next week about the opening clinic. And I'll play Better Call Saul from Argentina, whom I think I tried to play in the last session. But there was some disconnection thing or whatever, or he wasn't there. And it looks like, once again, he might not be there. Come on, Saul. Gotta stay tuned. Nah, looks like Better Call Saul is not around. Sorry. Second time I try to play your dad, dude. What can I do? Then let's play against the Chess God Extreme. From the United States of America. Let's hope he's not from the West Coast, because actually now it's not that early anymore on the West Coast. On the East Coast, I guess it's some civil time, like 1 p.m., 2 p.m. or whatever, right? But in LA it's still morningish. What do I do against the Chess God Extreme? I'll pin him. I'll go bishop b4. This position after knight c3 is going to be the topic of the third part of my never-ending series on the d4 repertoire. I'm probably going to give d5, not bishop b4, even though I do believe bishop b4 is the best move. But d5 is more consistent with the repertoire given. We have to learn a little less. And what was I going to say? We also already have a couple of good Nimzo Indian series and ebooks on Chess24 by Niklas, by Paco Vallejo, and so on. This move he's played bishop d2. It's very solid. It's not supposed to be critical. It's a little too passive for that. But nothing particularly wrong with it either. Very hard for black to generate play after that. So let's see. a3 makes perfect sense. b takes c3. I don't like. Should take with a bishop. Then I would have gone knight e4 and then rook c1 or queen c2. Because now you have these double pawns and you don't have that much compensation for it because the bishop is passive on d2 and knight f3, bishop e2 is not a very ambitious setup. Normally if white accepts these double pawns, he's trying to grab space in the center very quickly. He's trying to get in f3, e4 to compensate for it, while here, it's just the double pawns for free. Knight d7 is a fine move. I could have played more ambitiously with knight c6, knight a5, but I think this is fine as well. And the chess god is correctly trying to prepare e4, but now we see that this weakness on c4 already demands attention. He has to go rook ac1 now to protect it. And d5 is legal, but not very desirable positionally. I'm wondering if I should switch to concrete action or if I should keep things closed. Actually, d5 is a better move than I thought. I thought it's just bad at first sight, but it's not that simple. And I'm gonna play anti-positionally. I don't think this is such a great way to play, but I'm looking for some action. I don't know, that's not a good explanation. I'm looking for some action, that's why I'm mishandling my position. I'm a horrible player, that's why I'm mishandling my position, is more like it. Because now, if he gets an e4, he all of a sudden has some play, and there was no need for that. It's still double-edged. My knight has some potential jumps and so on, but I sort of let him back into the game and shouldn't have. Ruined my chance of playing another model game. My first model game ever. Still, he's not going for e4, so let's stop him. And once again, my hobby, pawn chasing, is in the cards. Knight g5, does that threaten anything? Not really. Pawnies. I believe one of the Indian tribes in the Revenant was called Pawnies. Yeah, that's all I got on that topic. More pawnies. Nah, I shouldn't pre-move. He doesn't take my pawn. Always take pawns, Chess God Extreme. When in doubt, grab pawns. Wouldn't have saved you, but still, now you're 2 pawns down with a bad position. The other was 1 pawn down with a bad position. 2 pawns down is worse than 1 pawn down. Could make it 3, but I don't want to. Not gonna be able to do it. I'm hoping for back rank mate instead, which really is not there because EF rook e1, he has bishop g1, but there were some problems for white nonetheless. Yeah, now I think I'm gonna win on the power of my many extra materials. The knight, the pawns, the clock. The odds are not in Chess God Extreme's favor here. And he lost on time. Sorry, Chess God Extreme. That's it for today. Check out my new series on the Vienna if you haven't yet. Become a chess24.com premium member if you want to play me, if you want to support this operation, if you want to have access to all the great videos and features we have on the site. And yeah, watch Making a Murderer, make up your mind. If you think Stephen Avery is guilty or not, let me know. Next show. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Good night. Enjoy your weekend. Bye bye.